Imagine that one day, almost by chance, a manuscript falls into your hands. Its pages are darkened by time, but still legible. It has no author, no date, no signature, only a title engraved on the inside of the cover in an almost ritualistic handwriting. The Manuscript of the Last Healer is not an ordinary book. It is not meant to be read, but to be remembered, because the words it contains do not teach anything new. They awaken something that has always been dormant deep within you, something the modern world has done everything possible to bury: your true power. We live in times where the human soul has been fragmented, domesticated, reduced to a shadow of its original greatness. We have been made to believe that healing is someone else's task, that knowledge is reserved for a select few, and that inner power is just a romantic illusion. But those who have accessed certain hidden teachings know otherwise. They know that within every human being lives a sleeping healer, an alchemist of the soul, a warrior of light. This video is not a simple reflection. It is a key, a door, an invitation to cross the threshold that separates the ordinary self from the true self. We will dive into the mysteries contained in that supposed lost manuscript, whose origin is lost among ancient myths, secret initiations, and silent lineages that have guarded the flame of knowledge while the world slept. We will explore what it truly means to be a healer, and why that term is not only about healing others, but first and foremost about the ability to remember who you are. We will uncover teachings that connect us to the purest, esoteric traditions, from vibrational medicine to the sacred geometry of the soul, from the conscious use of words to the hidden power of silence. And more importantly, we will approach techniques and revelations that you can apply in your daily life to reconnect with that inner core from which true power flows. Not power over others, but the power to create, to transform, and to awaken. Because this is not an outward journey, it is a return, an echo calling from within. And if you are here, it is not by chance, because no one finds the Manuscript of the Last Healer unless they are ready to read it. Not all knowledge was made for the crowds. Throughout human history, there have been teachings that were never passed on in public squares or official scrolls. They were shared in whispers, in caves, in hidden temples, among initiates who knew that some truths cannot be given to those who are not yet ready. Within these underground streams of wisdom, we find the enigmatic figure of the initiatic healer, and alongside him the tradition of the living manuscripts, texts that do not merely instruct but awaken. The concept of a manuscript not read with the eyes, but with the soul, has roots in multiple spiritual traditions. In ancient India, the agamas and tantras were spoken of as secret scriptures, reserved for those who had already been transformed by inner discipline. In ancient Egypt, the Hermetic texts attributed to Hermes Trismegistus were considered encoded, keys to access the mysteries of inner healing. Even in Christian mysticism, the so-called apocryphal Gospels contain teachings about the inner light, the healing power of the Word, and the body as a living temple, ideas later suppressed by dogmatic structures. The figure of the healer in these traditions is not limited to a physical curer or a doctor of the body. The healer is the one who has learned to restore harmony between the planes of being, body, mind, soul, and spirit. He does not consider himself an intermediary, but a rememberer, an activator of the divine code inscribed within every being. And in this sense, every manuscript they carried was not a simple text, but a tool to reignite that memory. And why was this knowledge hidden? Because true power cannot be domesticated. The structures of control, religious, political, and cultural, fear the sovereign individual, fear the human being who has remembered themselves, who has accessed their own sorts of wisdom and healing. That is why many of these teachings were silenced, distorted, or condemned as heresy, but they never disappeared. They merely hid in symbols, in geometries, in chants, in dreams, and in texts that only open with the right key, an awakened consciousness. The so-called Manuscript of the Last Healer may not be a physical book. It may be a symbol, a powerful metaphor representing the last spark of a lineage of forgotten wisdom. Or it may be real, lost in the cracks of history, waiting for the right seeker. What is certain is that its message, whether real or mythical, resonates with the echoes of all those voices that, throughout time, preserved the truth that the power to transform does not come from outside, but from the deepest center of your being, Understanding this context is not just a historical curiosity, it is an act of spiritual justice. Because when we understand where this knowledge comes from, we recognize that we are not creating something new, but reconnecting with a forgotten inheritance, and that changes everything. To grasp the depth of the so-called manuscript of the last healer, we must first let go of the conventional idea of knowledge as something external, linear, academic. This is not a manuscript that delivers information. It is a living initiatic text that functions as a mirror. It does not reflect what you already know, but what you have forgotten. Its wisdom is written in symbols, frequencies, and universal principles that resonate beyond the intellect. In its first pages, if they can even be called that, the manuscript does not begin with an explanation, but with a question. Do you remember who you are when you don't need to be anyone? This is not about accumulating data, but about activating spiritual memory, and this is crucial. In the esoteric view, remembering does not mean retrieving something from the past, but reuniting what has been separated. Record is to return to the heart. This manuscript, whether real or symbolic, is structured as an inner map. Each part represents an essential aspect of the human being that must be understood. Healed and aligned, there is no dogma, no hierarchy, only keys, fragments of wisdom delivered through archetypal images, sacred numbers, words charged with intention, and teachings that are not explained but recognized. One of its central principles is the concept of energetic self-sovereignty. It tells us that the true healer does not rely on external tools or empty rituals. Their main instrument is their presence, their coherence, their ability to inhabit their own energetic field with full awareness. The power to heal oneself and others arises when inner vibration is stronger than external interference. Here a fundamental distinction emerges. The healer is not a passive transmitter of inherited techniques, but an alchemist of the present. They take pain and transform it into compassion. They take fear and transmute it into conscious action. They do not deny the darkness, they illuminate it from within. And for that, the first step is the activation of the essential core, where in the energetic heart, but also in the point where pure intention meets inner silence. The manuscript, then, does not provide a method in the classical sense. It does not promise quick fixes. It offers doors, and each door can only be opened with a unique key. Yours, the one you have forged with every experience, every fall. Every silent quest you didn't yet realize was part of the path. Among its passages, there is a powerful affirmation. The healer is not trained. The healer is awakened. And that changes everything. Because it is no longer about seeking answers outside or perfecting yourself to be worthy. It is about remembering that the power you have been begging for outside is already burning within you. It only needs to be claimed. This is the first great turning point of the manuscript, a call to stop learning in order, to start remembering, to stop seeking and begin inhabiting, to return to yourself. The manuscript of the last healer does not teach how to do magic, but how to be the channel through which magic, understood as conscious, transformation occurs. As one advances through its deeper passages, it becomes clear that the true art of healing is not found in the external manipulation of energies or substances, but in the mastery of one's own vibrational field. The manuscript reveals that the healer is, above all, a state of being. Here the text introduces a crucial teaching. Every human being emits a field, not only an electromagnetic field, as modern science is beginning to recognize, but a field of consciousness structured by intention, thought, emotion, and level of spiritual integration. This field is not static. It vibrates, and that vibration determines whether you are a healer, a channel, or merely a repeater of empty formulas. The power to heal, then, does not come from knowing techniques, but from inhabiting a field of resonance so coherent, so centered, that your very presence dissolves distortions in others. This is a fundamental principle of the manuscript. Healing is the contagion of coherence, but this coherence cannot be faked, cannot be simulated with beautiful words or rehearsed gestures. It is the fruit of a deep integration between shadow and light. The manuscript affirms that the shadow is not the enemy, but the raw material of inner medicine. Thus, the healer does not deny their darkness, nor do they escape into false positivity. They integrate, transform, accept what has been broken, and turn it into a source of vibrant compassion. Another key teaching is the power of non-interfering presence. Instead of intervening with anxiety or a desire to control, the true healer holds the space from a place of radical stillness. They do not impose healing, they evoke it, like a candle that needs no words to light another candle. Their mere frequency awakens in the other the memory of their own light. This act of holding without intervening is in itself a sacred ritual. The manuscript also speaks of the word as a creative act. Every word carries a geometry, every geometry a frequency, and every frequency a destiny. This is why the conscious healer chooses their words with ritual precision, not to persuade, but to reveal, not to teach, but to open portals of meaning in the other's consciousness. This approach makes the healer an artist of the soul, a sculptor of the invisible who works with the subtlest material, the vibration of their own consciousness. And here appears another great paradox of the manuscript. The emptier you are of ego, the more of a channel you become. The less you try to heal, the more healing happens. One of its most enigmatic passages says, "It is not you who heals. It is wholeness remembering itself through you." With these words, the idea of the healer possessing personal power is dismantled. Instead, they are presented as a hollow flute through which divine breath can play. Their task is not to intervene, but to attune. And to attune means to be aligned with the center of what is real. Where the soul does not desire, it simply vibrates. Here, the second great revelation of the manuscript is completed. The healer does not seek to transform the other, but to live so aligned with their own essence that their mere presence becomes an invitation to remembrance. That is the most powerful medicine that exists, a vibration that does not persuade, argue, or impose. It only remembers, only resonates, only awakens. And that is the legacy of the last healer, not a title, not a supernatural gift, but a natural state of being that we all carry within us, asleep like a sacred seed awaiting its spring. The manuscript of the last healer does not offer quick fixes or empty rituals. Its teachings, though deeply mystical, point to a radical truth. The most powerful transformation is the simplest one, not because it is easy, but because it requires extreme sincerity. To unleash the power that has always been within you, you need nothing that you do not already possess. You only need to learn how to look again, how to inhabit yourself, how to recover what you have forgotten. Here I share with you some essential practices, inspired by the manuscript's teachings, adapted for everyday life. It is not about doing more, but about being more fully what you already are. First, wake in silence. Before touching your phone, before speaking, even before moving, stay for a few minutes in absolute silence. As you wake, breathe. Place your hand on the center of your chest. Don't think, feel. Ask yourself, which part of me is still asleep? This simple act aligns your consciousness with the energetic heart. Silence is the natural atmosphere of the healer. Second, inhabit your presence. Throughout the day, stop several times, even just for 30 seconds, to bring your full attention to the present moment. Observe your body. Feel your feet. Listen to the sounds around you. This constant anchoring strengthens your energy field. Your presence is the medicine. The more fully you are here, the more capacity you have to hold space for others and for yourself. Third, observe without intervening. When a difficult emotion arises, do not run from it or repress it. Feel it. Observe it without judgment. Name it if you can, sadness, anger, fear, but don't try to tame it. The manuscript teaches that every emotion is a door, not an obstacle. By holding it with presence, the emotion begins to transmute, not through the mind but through the heart. Fourth, guard your words like an alchemist. Speak less, but when you do speak, speak from your center. Do not repeat what others say. Do not speak to fill silence. The manuscript states, every word not felt builds a prison. Say less, but say only what resonates with your deepest truth. A well-spoken word is an act of healing. An empty word is an echo that drains your power. Fifth, turn the ordinary into ritual. The healer needs no temples. Wash your hands as if purifying your field. Eat as if you are feeding your light. Walk as if the ground recognizes your step. When you bring awareness to the simplest act, you make it sacred. And that is what a healer does. Consecrate life from the ordinary. Sixth, remember that you already are. You do not need to get anywhere, you are already here. Power does not lie in becoming something else, but in shedding everything you are not, until your essence shines on its own. The healer is not born. They are revealed, says the manuscript, and that is your true task, to remember and from there to hold. These are not instructions, they are keys. Each one can open a door when practiced with humility, consistency, and reverence. Because the true healer does not act like one, they simply live in alignment with their most silent truth. We have reached the end of this journey, or perhaps its true beginning. Because if there is one thing the manuscript of the last healer reveals, it is not a collection of foreign secrets, nor a legacy reserved for a chosen few. What it reveals, with calm firmness and ancestral clarity, is that the last healer is none other than you. Yes, you who have felt that inner voice whisper that there is something more. You who are tired of seeking answers in places that only give you more noise. You who suspect that the pain you carry has a deeper purpose than just suffering. You who know, though you sometimes forget, that something luminous, untouched, sacred lives within you. The manuscript is not meant to be understood by the mind, it is meant to resonate with the soul. Its words, visible or invisible, lead us back to that forgotten place where consciousness needs prove nothing, because it simply is. You do not need to gather more information. You do not need anyone's validation. You do not need to become something you are not. The only thing you need is to remember. Remember that every cell in your body vibrates with ancestral intelligence. Remember that every emotion, even the darkest one, is a disguised ally. Remember that every silence holds answers that noise will never give you. The healer is not a function nor a vocation. It is a state of inner coherence, a way of seeing life as if every moment were a ritual act. And when you live from that state, you don't need to heal others to be a healer. Your mere presence begins to bring order to what is out of alignment. Your field becomes medicine, your gaze a mirror, your words living geometry, your silence a sacred container. Now don't expect the world to understand. Many will call you idealistic. Others will see you as naive. And some will even resist your light. That's okay. It's part of the path. Because the one who embodies the role of the last healer doesn't come to convince, they come to remember. And for those who are ready, simply being near will be enough for something within them to awaken as well. This video, this message, this invocation is not an ending. It is a lit torch, an invitation to stop seeking gurus, formulas, and labels, and to begin living from the purest core of your being. And if this message resonated with you, if something within you stirred, if a spark ignited in your depths, subscribe to the channel and join us on this journey back to what matters. Like this video if you feel this truth deserves to be shared, and send it to someone you know has forgotten their light. Because sometimes, a single memory is enough to begin an entire transformation. Because the true manuscript is not in a book. The true manuscript is written in you. See you on the next journey. Until then, remember,